You are listening to the Ranges Podcast.
Oh, this is episode 19. Congratulations, episode 19.
Wow.
Yeah, so episode 19 is The Ascensionist. We had just finished in the People Cry for a King to wrap up 2016. Got our first tour under our belt. Ethan and Wilson had stepped down as members, and Jared had joined the band, so we were back to a four-piece and started diving into the next concept, which was The Ascensionist. Do you remember that album?
I do remember that album.
It's a big album.
It was a huge album.
It was a big turning point for the band. And in looking back at the history, like social media and just kind of re-examining the concept, like it's one of those concepts that we kind of lived out in the moment in a way. Like the concept of the Ascensionist was essentially creating a character called the Ascensionist, and the one who climbs the mountain, the one that ascends. Thinking of the concept as literal climbing of the mountain, like that's kind of how we wanted to map out the music as like steps to climb a mountain. Do you recall talking about that?
Well, yeah, that I think was what it became after deciding from the last record to maybe go back to the root of the sound of Montana.
Right.
That
in the mountains.
Do an album surrounding what surrounds us.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because Absaroka was the mountain range. And so the Ascensionist was kind of returned to the mountains. But also then like taking the past albums that we'd done to get to this point and using those as like part of the concept. And so like each song of the album was going to be a reflection back on previous albums. And so like The Wanderer, the first song of the Ascensionist, was the beginning of the climb and related to Absaroka. Like this was the beginning of Ranges. And so like musically, I think it kind of tied together a little bit, but that was the concept, was like song one is going to be about album one. So The Wanderer is going to be about Absaroka. And song two was Seven Sisters, which is a celestial theme. And so that tied to Solar Mansions being our album about the Zodiac. And then the third song was The Ascensionist, which was just the title track. I think when we wrote that song, like, I don't know if you remember, but when we started writing it, I knew right away that was going to be the song on the album. I don't know if you felt that.
I do, which is why I think it still holds such a place for me when we play live to this day.
Yeah, and we've never played a show without playing that song.
No,
it's
we
always
haven't.
been part of our set because it was when Joey started playing that lead line. It's like, oh yeah, this is it. This is the song.
Definitely.
For whatever reason, and it's really a simple song. It's
well,
not
some
complex.
of those are the best.
Yeah,
definitely. I felt like that song definitely was the one, the song that the rest of the album would surround.
Right. So then the fourth song was called Not to a New Religion But to Life. So that was a look back on the Bonhoeffer album, which kind of centered around goodness and righteousness and virtues. And then the next song was The Greater Lights, or the next two songs were The Greater Lights and The Lesser Lights. Those were related to Night and Day and duality. So yeah, and so that one was more of an uplifting, pretty, beautiful song that maybe represented day.
Yeah.
And then The Lesser Lights was heavy
and dark.
Interface and dark. And so that was the Lesser Lights.
Right.
Yeah. And then Seven Veils was the next song. So that was related to If I Were the Devil and the temptation and sin kind of concept. And then the next song was In the Arms of Kings and Gods, which tied into the Gods of the Copybook headings and the People Cried Out for a King. And I don't really remember exactly how those thematically tied in, but and then the last song was Babylon the Great, Part 1. I don't really remember exactly what we were thinking with this one, but the idea was to
lead into Babel, right?
Yeah, part of it was because we knew Babel was coming next, and we wanted to put Part 1 on there just to allude to the idea that more was coming, which Babylon the Great Part 3 was on Babel, and then Babylon the Great Part 2 was kind of a song we put out on its own. Yeah, so anyways, that was the concept of The Ascensionist, the album. Going back to the mountain theme, and then also reflecting back on the 7 albums, the 7 releases that had gotten us to where we were, which I thought it was a really cool approach to that. And then it also got me thinking about the band as a concept in and of itself. So we'd always done concept albums, but as we started to look back and like reflect on old albums and like see how we could use the previous 7 releases to kind of build on each other and create an album concept that uses them, like maybe there's more to Ranges as a concept versus just being a band.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just doing releases and playing shows like a band does. But can we push this thing into an even deeper realm of concept and idea? And I got my brain turning just thinking about, you know, how far out of the box can we go with this thing? I was just thinking about the 7 albums that we put out, and 7 being an important number for a lot of different reasons, but one of them being in an octave of music. You know, there's 7 notes, 8th note being the octave above the root note. So seeing, okay, well, we've done 7 albums. That's our first octave of creation. And so the Ascensionist was returning back to the beginning, essentially, of our second octave. So we like created our first octave of music, and now we were going to go into our second octave of music. And perhaps every album moving forward reflects back on the previous album or the previous octave, kind of like we were doing with the Ascensionist, where we were looking back and every song was going to relate to a previous album. Now, as we move forward with new albums, those are all going to relate back to previous albums on the first octave. You following me there?
I am, but if you saw me, you would see the thing flying over my head.
No, I can see it.
You see the thing? Which is funny, too, because, you know, this is now 7 years ago that
Right.
this was happening.
Right.
And I don't think I was fully aware of much of that.
No, and it's so hard to articulate. I can see it in my brain and I know exactly what's going on, but like trying to share that with everybody in the band and get everybody on board with the concept and just like trust that this could be really cool.
Yeah, and I'm glad I was able to drum
Yeah, me too.
on it.
Yeah. So like this was definitely the beginning of looking at Ranges at a different perspective of starting out as a studio band. We just want to license music to Bob saying, just be a real band.
Being
Okay.
a real band.
Being a real band's like, okay, let's be a real band that pushes these boundaries and like, let's just go all out and try to do the most crazy things that we can think of while still maintaining being a real normal band that you open Spotify up and you can listen to.
Right.
Like that's important. But what about the in-betweens between albums? Like what more can we do to push ourselves? That's why my brain was going full bore on that when we started with the Ascensionist, and I was really excited about the possibilities. So with the Ascensionist, we knew we wanted to do a music video for the Ascensionist. I think after we had gotten the album written, we knew that was the song, as we discussed.
Yep.
And so Wilson was tasked with the making of the music video, which turned out really cool.
It was.
It was all green screened, and I was the actor.
You were the Ascensionist.
I was the Ascensionist.
You played the role of the Ascensionist. You were really good at it,
Yeah,
too.
thanks.
I believed it. I believed
Did
you were, climbing that mountain.
Yeah, you didn't see me. I was just walking on a treadmill.
No, I didn't see any sort of treadmill motion in your
Yeah,
final video presentation.
That was a lot of fun. It turned out really cool.
It was. Didn't you climb the garage door too?
I climbed a ladder
On the door, right?
next to the door.
All right.
Yeah, I climbed a ladder and then laid on the ground and rolled over. And snake from a friend. That
Oh, that was
going
Sarah
through the-
Martin's
Yeah,
snake.
okay.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, I was
For your
climbing through the tree of life.
Reptilian input.
But definitely a symbolically deep music video where each like scene relates to a song on the full album. So it goes from The Wanderer all the way through conceptually. And if you want a breakdown of that, you can go to the website. There's a breakdown of it. So we'd written and probably recorded in early 2017. Knowing us, we probably moved through that pretty quick.
Well, because we had written everything at that point, right? Before recording? Like we
Yeah, I think so. We actually,
had it
we played in a room.
rehearsed.
Yeah, which we did a little bit with Gods. But definitely with Ascensionists, I remember specifically having Saturdays where we would get together
Yeah.
and work on music and work on songs, which is fun.
So then was this one where we took time off or did we record on weekends?
I think we just recorded weekends.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember you laid down drums one day, you listened to it and you hated it, and you came back and you redid a couple songs.
That sounds like something I would do,
Yeah,
thankfully.
I do remember that. We were teasing out the album in March of 2017, tracking in April. Played a show at the filling station on April 5th.
Do you remember who that was with?
It might have been with that guy that had the piano. Do you remember that?
Oh.
So this would have been Jared's first show. And there was like some piano guy.
Right.
Yeah. We had to play in like the corner of the stage because he had his big grand piano.
Right. So he was from somewhere
else. Yeah.
A touring musician,
he's
if
an
you will.
out-of-towner.
I remember being not thrilled with that guy.
I remember you not being thrilled.
Yeah.
You probably thought it was funny.
Yeah.
That's typically where I go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had a show in at Helena on April 29th. It must have been at Jester's.
Oh.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jester's.
Yeah.
The place you walk in and you think you're about to make a drug deal.
Yeah. I played there back in the day, back when you could smoke in bars.
Oh.
And that the ceiling was black.
It must
It was
have been.
gross. Because then I remember going back when they banned smoking in bars and the ceiling was white. They cleaned it all off.
Wow.
Wow, look at this. Really respectable thing.
I'm glad they took the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then April 22nd, 2017, we put out our first Prelude cassette. So this was an introduction to the Prelude idea, which I'm sure you recall well.
Yeah. I mean, I remember it.
Yeah.
Sure.
So the idea with the Prelude was for it to be a prelude to what was to come. And so like this one specifically was taking songs from older albums to kind of mirror the concept of the Ascensionist. And so like the first song was off of Absaroka. I don't remember which song it was that we took, but I took it and just remixed it, reworked it, made it weird. And so we did that to each song that would then mirror a song that was on the Ascensionist to come out. So the idea was to try to give hints towards what was to come. That was the idea of Prelude. This was the first one, and we've done one for every album since. And it's evolved in concept a little bit, but
Well, it was a interesting concept to me because I wasn't aware of anything like that
right, yeah,
ever.
yeah,
Like, why would you release something as a prelude to what you're actually releasing?
right, yeah, yeah, and
Just
so
release the album.
right, yeah. It's not, you got to tease these post rock people.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then I think with Babel is when we started just taking backing tracks, keys, layers that were on the actual release songs, stripping off all the rock elements, the guitars, the bass, the drums, and just putting out the ambient
Right.
keys.
And that I remember being into because I like the ambient
Yeah,
stuff, and I also thought that maybe, with the ambient stuff too, it would give, a possibility to, licensing
Right.
for different things.
yeah. I mean, why not? Why not? Because that's all stuff. The keys and stuff are usually buried in the songs. Like
Yeah.
they add weight to the song, and they're there, but you don't always hear them.
Right.
So you strip off the drums and the guitars, and like you can hear that. And it's. I think it's a cool way to kind of introduce the next album.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. I just was not. I wasn't aware of anything like that.
Right.
But I was aware of, say ambient remixes of albums and
Yeah.
stripping things down. But that usually would be the after, not the
Right.
before.
Yeah. Mastering, we decided to go back with Emily because she did a good job on the 7-inch. So we got her the mixes. We had done God's the Copybook Heading on CD. We had sent those to Dunk, and they sold them through their store.
Right.
And then the 7-inch, and the people cried out for King, they had agreed to sell the 7-inch there. So we'd had two albums where we'd kind of had them help us sell in Europe. So with the Ascensionists, as they are, this is the time to reach out to them, send them the album, and be like, hey, we would love to be on Dunk Records. Would you have any interest in releasing this? So I don't remember sending the email, but I remember getting the email response from Wout. And I remember exactly where I was. I was in my daughter's room, and I got the email, and they said, we would love to put the album out on Dunk Records.
Nice.
And that was so awesome. That was a big moment. It's like, we did it.
Yeah.
We did it. We got signed in quotes to a label.
Well, also, and my joy was that it was a label in Belgium because I had previous experience with music in Europe and thinking that we would benefit from getting our music to Europe.
Right. Yeah. And knowing Dunk Festival and just knowing that this was
That-
then a
yeah,
stepping
that
stone
too.
to the festival, which again has proven to be like those little steps of climbing the mountain, being the Ascensionist, ascending through this, like living the concept ourselves through all of this it's pretty cool.
True.
So yeah, Dunk was down to release it, and we had put the 7-inch out on our own record label, 1,000 Arms. So we would do a release through 1,000 Arms as well. So it would be a co-release.
If you've enjoyed this podcast, subscribe to the Ranges Patreon to hear more episodes.